Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today's video is going to be a book haul, my first book haul of 2024. This is not really indicating the tone I'd like to set for the year. These are all past purchases, all books that I purchased between November and into December. That's horrendous that there's this many, but I have my reasons. We'll get into that as we go through each of the books on the list. I definitely made a kind of conscious decision to be buying fewer books than previous years. Probably over the previous 2 years I've bought too many. I'm not being able to like keep up with how much is coming in. Like there's too much coming in for how fast my reading pace is. So that's the thing. I want to be reading more of what I own. I also need to be reading more of what I own because this is my TBR shelf, and as you can see from the small view you get behind me, way too many books. I physically cannot fit another book on my unread TBR shelf. So there's an actual limit, not just within my brain but within my physical space, of how many books I can have, and I've definitely exceeded it. Today's book haul starts in November. Like I said, my last book haul ended just before I managed to get through all the books I bought in the US. So the first 3 or so books are ones that I got in America. The rest of these were books that I bought for myself. I think there was one gift in here, but these are like pre-Christmas random purchases that I thought I'd just compile on a little list together, and I give you a little idea about what is perhaps coming up on my channel in the future, what sort of books I will be picking up and reading. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Oh gosh, the stack's already falling over. So if you haven't watched my previous book haul, the book that I mentioned last in that one was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I went to Florida in November and I bought that in Barnes & Noble because it was on a buy one get one 50% off deal. The other book that I decided to get with that one on that deal was Love and Other Words by Christina. This is a book that I've heard so many good things about. Like Archer's Voice, this is a lot of people's like #1 favorite book or #1 favorite romance book of all time. It's a friends to lovers, which is my ultimate trope within romance books, and it sounds like a really good time. I read a book in 2023 called Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, which is meant to be essentially like a rip-off of this book. Love that one, I get 4 stars, but I'm told that this one's better, and this is like the blueprint. This is the original book that one was like heavily inspired by. I'm excited to see what this one's all about. The reason why I chose this in the US, because A, it was on a deal, I got it 50% off, and the other reason is because I know there's some people who don't like this cover, but this cover is so far superior to the UK cover. The new UK cover is horrendous. Like, I'm sorry, but it's truly hideous. I hate it. So I decided to pick this one up when I saw it there, following Macy and Elliot, and like I said, they've been besties since they're very small, and then I think also following them in a future timeline where they are not speaking to each other because of something that happened in their past. A decade-long silence, it says. As we are following this like current timeline of them falling back in love with each other, we're also gradually finding out what happened in the past. I don't know, I think it's gonna be great, so I'm very, very excited for this. When I was in America, the #1 thing that I was kind of interested in picking up while I was over there was some of the Throne of Glass books. So I bought Crown of Midnight, and I bought Heir of Fire. These are books 2 and 3 in the Throne of Glass series, which is a massive like 8-part YA fantasy series. I basically dug myself a hole with the series. What happened was, years ago there were these original like white covers of the books. They were like the old UK editions, and I didn't like them, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend a bit more money and I'm gonna order the US editions. There was a cover change to the UK, cover change to the US. I still don't like the UK covers. I don't like the new ones. I don't know if I even like them less than the previous UK ones. The new US ones are just my favorites, so I decided to bite the bullet and just like buy the rest of the series in these new US editions. They're very expensive to buy online from over here, so I want to be getting as many as I can in the US. This was basically as much as I could afford, also as much as would fit in my suitcase to come home. I brought so many books home, it was actually kind of ridiculous. I might insert a picture. I took a picture of like the stack of books. Too many books. I really like did it to myself. So the current situation is that I own a prequel book, I own book 1 in the old US editions. If I feel like there's a series I want to keep, I'm going to repurchase books 0.5 and book 1 in the new editions and sell my original copies. But that's the complicated story behind why I ended up picking up these 2 books. I'm so excited to have them. I absolutely love these covers, which is great obviously because we've been to such a trouble to get them. I definitely need to be reading the future books in the series, but I also want to be pacing myself so I don't have to be rushing off to America again and getting these. These will also buy one get one 50% off in Barnes & Noble, which is amazing, so good. But I do want to pick these up soon. I'm very excited for this series. I'm a huge Sarah J Maas fan, but only in the sense that the Avatar trilogy, like the original Avatar trilogy, is my favourite fantasy series of all time. Favourite books by far. Just have my entire heart and soul. They were everything to me when I was reading them, and I'm pretty sure on the reread I would feel the same way. So it's about time I picked up Throne of Glass. That was a very lengthy explanation. We're going to be getting through the rest of these a little bit quicker than that. Daphne du Maurier is quickly becoming one of my favourite authors. I read Rebecca in school, and then I read Frenchman's Creek last year, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of my top 10 favourite books of the year. So when I saw another one of hers in the same edition that I collect them in the charity shop, I decided to pick it up. This is The Scapegoat. I'm currently reading Despair by Vladimir Nabokov, and this plot sounds very, very similar. I'm excited to finish Despair and then see how this one is. By chance, two men, one English, the other French, meet in a provincial railway station. Their resemblance is uncanny, and they spend the evening talking and drinking. It is not until John wakes the next morning that he realises his French companion has stolen his identity and disappeared. So John steps into the Frenchman's shoes and faces a variety of perplexing roles as owner of a chateau, director of a failing business, head of a fractious family, and master of nothing. My mum has read of du Maurier's books, but neither of us had heard of this title. Kind of fun. Like I said, I collected these editions of her books. All of mine have green spines, and this one, like, very clearly, like, that is not a green spine. So I don't know what that's about, but I don't really care because it's got like the cover and it still looks nice next to mine. It's the same height and everything like that. But yeah, I absolutely adored Frenchman's Creek. I just want to read all of her stuff. I think she was a genius. I also paid £1 for it, you know? Kind of crazy. That was a good find. Now we have a couple of ebooks. If you're familiar with the channel, you would know that I like to mention the Kindle books that I buy as well. In my opinion, every single format of book counts as reading, whether it's an audiobook, an ebook, or a physical book, or whatever kind of other book there is. Graphic novels, comic books, all the things. So first of all, I got Divine Marvels by Rebecca Yarros. I'm so excited about this book. I've heard so many good things. It was on the 99p deal, and I just snapped it up. The problem with this book is it's only in hardcover, and I really don't like the cover. I'm really like painting myself as being extremely, what's the word, fickle, extremely surface level, only picking the things up that really aesthetically interest me. Essentially, I don't want to pay for the hardcover of a book that I don't like the cover of. So I was going to wait for the paperback, but when I saw it on the 99p Kindle sale, obviously decided to snap it up. Then I can make up my mind about whether I like the book enough to purchase the paperback when it does eventually come out. This is a really popular YA fantasy book. It kind of reads like an urban fantasy, I think. We're following two people who communicate with each other over these magical typewriters. The MMC knows he's writing to the FMC. The FMC thinks she's writing to her brother. It's meant to be one of the most kind of like romantic fantasy books, YA fantasy books. Pretty much every single person loves it. I'm just excited to see how I find it, what I feel about it. I feel like it could be a new favourite, potentially. I mean, maybe I'll hate it. Whatever, I paid 99p for it. I don't think I can go wrong with that. And then the other book I picked up on Kindle that I want to mention in this haul is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is another book that I've been kind of on the fence about getting. I was very excited about it. It's meant to have a very beautifully lyrical writing style. It's about Dracula's brides, but I haven't picked it up for two reasons. One, it's because I haven't read Dracula yet. I want to read that one first, but recently I bought a copy of Dracula, so it does make sense to be thinking about giving this one a go in the near future. And the other thing is that I read a review that talked about this book in a way that makes me think there might be aspects of it that I really don't like, but from the majority of people I've heard incredibly good things. So again, 99p, it's safer to give this a go like this than buying full price hardcover or paperback or whatever. So that is A Dowry of Blood. It's only a very short little book. I'm not sure when I'll pick that up or when I'll pick up Divine Rivals, but they're sitting on my Kindle for when I'm in the mood for them. Another vampiric book, we have Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. This, I believe, is a modern classic. It's a very, very popular book. It was actually adapted into a film that I think is very kind of like camp and kind of an era, but people still enjoy it. This was a gift from Abigail. She saw it in the charity shop. The spine is extremely cracked, despite it being a really floppy book, so I don't really know what the previous owner did to it. Usually that would be a problem for me, but the rest of the book is in very good condition, and the spine is also black, so you can't see the marks on it very well when it's just like sitting there on the bookshelf, so I don't really mind. I don't know much about this other than that it's about a vampire who is kind of looking back on his life. Meant to be very kind of philosophical and existential, basically about the kind of like realities of living as a being who cannot die, to an extent immortal. In a darkened room, the boy sits, waiting for the story to begin. His companion is a young man, cloaked in shadow, his voice low and soft. Only the pure white of his collar is visible in the gloom. The story of this man's life is about to be told. A story of a vampire facing the dark stretch of eternity, cursed with an exquisite craving for human blood. I've heard from some people that this is quite boring. I've heard from others that it's just a work of art. I'm interested to see what I think. Darkly brooding and sensuously written, a tale of seduction and betrayal, decadence and desire, death and immortality. Again, I think it could be fun to read after I've read Dracula. But yeah, I'm very thankful that Abigail found this. It's definitely one that was on my radar. I had it marked as want to read on Goodreads, so being able to have it as a gift is wonderful. Okay friends, every single other book in this haul was from, oh no, that's a lie. I was going to say they're from the works, that is not true. Let's just get into it. So last year I read a book called Flawless by Elsie. I absolutely adored it. It was a cowboy romance book, completely out of my comfort zone, out of my usual genres that I like to gravitate towards. I don't generally get on very well with contemporary romance books, but Flawless just did something to me, and did something to me? did something for me, and I had the best time basically. And that is the first book in a, I think, 5-part series of like interconnected standalones following other people within the family of the MMC. So I've definitely wanted to pick up other books in the series because I was like, you know, when you find a book in a genre of books that you don't usually love, you know, you definitely want to be picking up the other ones, seeing what you think, because they could be other hits within an otherwise kind of neglected genre by me. I went into the works. I was looking at 4 books, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but the only book they had in there was book 3, which is Powerless. This is one that Abigail's also read. We've been discussing it. She read this around the same time that I read Flawless. She liked this. She didn't completely love it, but aspects that she didn't like I might get on a little bit better with. But even still, I just want to give the rest of the series a go because, like I said, I enjoyed book 1 so much. I just had the best time. So the first book, Flawless, was following Rhett and Summer. Rhett was a professional bull rider, and it was like almost like a workplace enemies to lovers kind of thing. If I had that description, I would not be picking up that book if I were you. But I don't know, it just worked so well. I loved everything about it. It was light and fluffy and fun, but still touched on some kind of like more important, deep themes. Check out my best books of 2023 if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that one. But Rhett lived on a farm with his brothers and his dad, and this one's following Jasper, who is Rhett's brother. He is a professional ice hockey player, and this is a friends to lovers, which is very, very cute. Like I said, my favorite romance tropes. It should be a hit. We'll see. I'll let you know what I think. And then the other book I picked up in the works is unrelated, but I got From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. Mariana Zapata is known for her slow burns. You know, we've got a good 500 pages to get through before anything happens. But this is another hockey romance, kind of funny. Actually, no, not hockey, ice skating. Jasmine Santos, and she's a figure skater, and then she meets Ivan Lukov, who I think is also a figure skater. It's just meant to be so good. The Enemies to Lovers, TikTok sensation from the queen of slow burn romance. I've heard that her books are very, very lovely. These become favorites for people. And it was discounted in the works. The works, if you didn't know, is like a store in the UK here that sells very, very cheap books very inexpensive discounted prices, so they should have cost £10 to like £6 or something, but it was discounted to £3. There is some sun damage to the top of the book, but I don't care, and it's also got a bend in the cover, but I really don't care. It was so cheap. I might buddy read this with Abigail because we both bought that one. I came out the works and I was like, listen, I read book 1 in this Chestnut Spring series. I own book 3. I really do kind of want to read them in order, even though you don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and order Heartless. Heartless was very, very cheap on Amazon. It was like £3 or something, so I picked this one up. And while I was on there, I realised that Reckless, which is book 4, was also really, really cheap. They had the latest book, which is Hopeless, but it was full price on Amazon. So I won't pick that one up until I've read more of the series and decided that it's something I definitely want to be getting to. So now, if I just collect them all together, and maybe we grab out Flawless, so we get the complete picture. I have books 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the Chestnut Spring series. I'm so excited about the rest of these. This is wonderful. Hopefully these will be too. Cross your fingers for me, because it would be so nice for me to finally love romance books, particularly a romance book series. I just realized I didn't tell you what Heartless and Reckless were about. So Heartless is following Cade. I'm sure Cade's the brother. Jasper in the 3rd book, Powerless, is like a family friend. This is the brother, and he has a child. He's a single dad. It's a romance between him and the nanny he hires to be his child's babysitter. What? The nanny he hires to look after his child. That's what I'm trying to say. I've heard this is like a lot of people's favourite one. If their favourite one isn't this one, then it's often Reckless. Book 4. This is following Theo, and we actually met him in Flawless. He was Rhett's, one of Rhett's friends within bull riding, and also kind of a little bit like his protege. This is a marriage of convenience, I think, or a fake engagement, something like that. I don't know. I don't have to worry about that one for a while. But yes, I hope that made some sense. I feel like I've explained this in a bit of a rough way, but it is a bit confusing when maybe you're not familiar with the series, and also these are all like interconnected standalones, so if you don't understand at least one of them, then it might find it difficult to understand the rest. I don't know. That's it. Those are basically all the books I bought before Christmas. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, let me know that you did. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to stick around. I'd love to have you here, see what I get up to, see what I read, see how I find these particular books I've mentioned in today's video. And without further ado, I'll leave you in peace, because this has been a rambly, confusing video with the Throne of Glass drama and the Chestnut Springs complications. Bye bye.